Welcome to the Complete Game Podcast, where we're all about baseball with Ethan Dungan, owner of Glovehound Baseball Glove Repair Shop, Rick Finley, founder of MD&I Baseball Academy, and the creator of George Foster Baseball, the MVP himself, Reds Hall of Famer George Foster. I'm your host, Greg Dungan. Now let's talk baseball. All right, welcome back to part 3 of our offensive objective series. This is episode 20, and we're almost through the year. We got 4 more episodes, so getting season 1 under our belt, which is kind of cool. So this is, as we promised, this is part 3. So at the part 1 we talked about getting on base. And part 2, we talked about moving runners. Now we're going to talk about scoring runners. We're going to talk about getting them in, getting them across the plate, which is the thing that matters most.
Win games.
Yeah, because you can't win
if you're leaving them on score. Base.
Yeah.
You don't get a point by LOB, left on base.
So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk a little bit about clutch hitters today. We're going to talk a little bit about defining what that might mean and how young players can work on building those skills in their repertoire. So we're going to go ahead and kick it off with a little name 5, and we're going to talk about name your 5 favorite clutch hitters, guys who could be counted on to score runs or to score runners when the chips were down. And because he always ends up stuck in the middle, we're going to let George go first.
Yay. Oh, right. So 5, it had to be George Foster, Iowa. No, Tony Perez.
I had that down.
Hey, I'm talking here. So, almost said it again. Tony Perez, he's the guy that we call him doggy because when the situation, it's a high-level situation, we need that run scored, he's going to drive it in. And some way, somehow, he's going to drive that run in. And you go to another guy who came from the Reds, Frank Robinson. Oh, that guy, he gets on top of the plate. He would dare you to throw inside on him. But that guy was quick inside. So those 2 guys really stand out. And I have some other guys that let Rick and the rest, I don't want to take their clout right now. But Tony Perez, I would take number 1. And then I'll take Frank Robinson right behind him.
Cool. What you got, Rick?
So do we want to, you want me to say all 10 of mine?
No,
anyone else?
Just 10.
Okay, I'm just kidding. Let's go with Albert Pujols, man.
Oh, yeah,
that was my guy.
Oh, talking about my guy.
Yes, Albert Pujols, man.
10 years.
The machine.
330, 100.
Yes, 10
that
years.
That is great.
Until
10
he
years in a
messed
row.
up his feet.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Well, he played.
Turf toe.
He actually showed up.
Joe Burrow, sorry.
Yeah, he actually showed up. I did a cross match of doubles, RBIs, well, triples too, but triples is a weird thing. We'll talk about triples someday. Those are all dead ball guys. But leaders for doubles, RBIs, or doubles, home runs, RBIs. And Pujols comes up at the top there. If he had played one more year, he might have caught Hank Aaron. I mean, it was that close. Hank Aaron played one more year. And when you compare, I actually did a comparison of all their key stats, just the 2 of them. And Hank's he's just like that much more, and he played one more year. Mm-hmm. So you're like, Pujols
those injuries.
And then playing in Atlanta.
Yes.
Fulton County, that's
yeah. Albert Pujols was definitely at the top of the.
That's a good one there.
Yes, Pujols.
Cool.
Okay.
What you got, Rod?
Well, if you're going to take the number 2 RBI leader of all time, then I'll take number 1. I'll take Hank Aaron. I mean, playing for that long and accumulating that many RBIs. I mean, and the thing is, we've talked about this when we talked about home runs, is that he never hit an insane amount of home runs in a given year. It was just consistent.
Like 44.
Yeah, consistent for so long. Drive him in, bringing men in when they're on base. I mean, it's hard to dispute Hank Aaron. And I know the RBI catches a lot of flack for being a circumstantial stat because you can't get an RBI if people aren't on base and that kind of, unless you hit home run, which he did a lot. But doesn't matter when they're out there, they need to be brought in, and he did that more than anybody else.
The other interesting thing, I remember when there was the whole kind of roid-driven home run race, the McGuire, Sosa, Canseco kind of era of things. And, people were talking about how all of a sudden these guys show up and they're just, cranking these home runs everywhere, left and right, and this and that. And they were all hot for a number of years. And then once they figured out it was, performance enhancers and things like that, that sort of changed the whole thing. But while they were in the throes of it and they were hitting all these, and people were like, this is amazing. This is amazing. And I remember hearing Marty and Joe were calling a game. They were talking about it. It was kind of ancillary. Somebody had done something in another, one of those guys had done something in another game. And it was kind of one of those in between where they're, and so over at the Cubs game was doing something. They were talking about it. And Joe made the point. He said, yeah, but it's only been a handful of years, because somebody was trying to make the comparison to Hank Aaron, and he said no. He said Hank did it over and over and over and over again, and that guy was a consistent producer of home runs and RBIs for 24 years.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
It is.
But they don't really look at it as much because it's so consistent. So it's not one of these numbers that really jump out.
Right.
And so it's like playing golf. Oh, it's easy to hit the ball if it's down the fairway, but if it's in the rough, how are you going to do it? But in Hank's case, he's so consistent. You could just put his stats up before the season even started. He's going to average 40 home runs or 100 RBIs and batting 300.
Yeah, career.
That's a foreign
over
thing
300.
today. Batting 300 is foreign.
Yes,
Yeah, to be playing for 24 years,
Right.
and still end up with or 23 years, and still end up with a career batting average over 300. That's amazing.
That is.
And you talk about a guy who was just low key and
Very low key.
the guy who would just be like, look, just don't celebrate, just act like you've been there.
Never showboated.
Let's play.
I love that. I love that about Hank Aaron. He was
Silent
that's why
assassin.
in my mind he'll always be the greatest. That's just the way it is. I'm going to throw out a name that did not come up regularly in the top 5 or 6 when I did those three in doubles and home runs and RBIs. He was up near the top, but he didn't show up consistently there. But he's thought of as a serious clutch guy, and that's David Ortiz.
I got him on my
Especially in the playoffs.
In the
World
playoffs.
Series.
I got him on my list, man.
Yeah,
You just wrote it down, man.
Yes.
That guy is just, especially in the playoffs, just super tough. And
Yes,
I wonder. I said,
talent.
why they keep pitching to this guy?
He keeps raking.
Well, and I don't think the Red Sox win those 3 World Series.
No
without
way.
him.
Absolutely not.
When
They
you
don't.
talk about
They don't.
a cornerstone kind of guy, and I mean he was the designated hitter. He really
That's all
didn't.
he
He
did.
really didn't play a position.
Nope.
There's a couple clips of him playing first base, and it's not pretty.
That's
but,
when he was with the Twins.
Minnesota.
Yeah.
Yep.
But without him, they're still under the curse. I mean, that
No,
guy
exactly. And
was
so-
responsible for getting out.
And
off
if
their
you're
back.
gonna don the title of designated hitter, boy, I mean,
That's
you better do it.
designated. You're designated.
You better do it. And nowadays, with a team that doesn't have a guy that can do that, you're rotating in,
Right.
whoever's not in the field that day, trying to give them some rest. Like I know the Reds had to do that a lot, but in the American League, they've been doing the DH thing for longer, and they've got guys who can carve out that career, and he did it better than anybody.
Yep. George, who else you got?
I have Billy Williams, sweet swinging Billy Williams.
Yes, Billy Williams.
Along with him and Ernie Banks, I would say
Ernie Banks.
those guys really stand out. But Billy Williams, you can count on him to drive in runs. And I don't know how many total. Probably maybe over 1,500. But this guy was consistent, and you don't want anybody on base or in scoring position when he came to bat. And at that time, they didn't really pitch around guys. They're going to challenge him. And he looked forward to that. But back to clutch hitting, that's the one thing my brother had said when I were my second year in pro ball. Said RBIs, that's an important stat.
Yes, it is.
So you don't win games if you don't have the runs scored.
Yeah.
And so I really focus on driving in runs. I don't care how many outs, what the count, who's out there, what the situation. My mentality changed when men are in scoring position. Being able to the home runs were a byproduct, but being able to drive that ball.
Who else you got, Rick, on yours?
My man, Mr. October,
Yeah,
Reggie
let you have it.
Jackson.
Yep.
Yes.
Who
And he played for
Strangely enough-
Oakland A's and the Yankees, man. And
who strangely enough doesn't show up at the top of those stats either. But Mr. October, man.
Yeah, when it comes to that time.
yes. I remember they showed a video of him hitting a home run on top of Tiger
Oh, that's
Stadium.
the All-Star game against Doc Ellis.
That's what, okay, yes. You were there, weren't you?
No.
No. Okay.
I watched it on TV.
Yeah, man. He was with the A's then. But yeah.
But he was a little
October.
guy, but he worked out a lot. He was pretty strong.
Yes, he
hit
was.
the weights a lot.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to throw a bone to our hometown guy, Joey Votto. Towards the end of his career, he really started to dwindle a little bit.
Because he wants to walk.
Exactly. And you don't become a clutch hitter by walking. That's
Yeah.
clutch,
No such thing
clutch
as a
walker.
Clutch walker.
Yeah, I don't
Clutch
know.
walker.
Or maybe a grandma. I don't know. But if you sort since 2000 in high leverage situations, which is somewhat subjective, with more than 500 plate appearances, Joey Votto has the most weighted runs created plus. So if you want,
What in the world is that?
What weighted? You got a scale?
Weighted runs, work
It's a WAIT.
plug. What is that?
Is he on base more than driving in runs? Is that what it?
That's got to be a sabermetric or something.
it's one of those really complicated ones. But a WRC plus of 100 is considered league average. So it talks about when we were talking about WOBA last week, it assigns different values to the different outcomes and how likely that is to score a run and that kind of thing. So it's a pretty cold, by the stats kind of way to look at it, but in the end they don't lie. And I think his earlier years probably play a little more into that.
Yeah, I always thought that he was a Pete Rose with power.
Yeah, exactly. And
Yes.
when it comes to clutch, man, I mean, you're talking about we had the Mother's Day game, man, when he hit the walk-off grand slam. I mean, that was
the Cardinals.
really cool.
Yeah.
I mean, that was that
Straightaway
Was it
center.
3 in one game?
that was his third home run, and that one is cemented in my head forever.
Man.
Number 2 on that list, but I'll say number 3 on that list is Albert Pujols. So
Yes.
you could see, guys we're already talking about.
Yes.
Number 2 was Chipper Jones, though.
Yes.
Another guy
Yes,
that's come
I
up.
thought about him. Too.
I
It was
think
quiet, though.
Yes.
the most interesting thing is we've named, with exception of Reggie Jackson, maybe we've named just really consistent hitters, guys who are coming through all the time
I think,
and in the clutch.
You know who we could add to the list? And I looked at his stat. He had 10 100 RBI seasons, Alex Rodriguez.
Oh, Rodriguez.
Yeah.
But PED, no.
Yeah.
Oh, man, he was just
But another
drinking
guy that-
he was drinking vitamin water.
Oh, it's B12, I thought. Yeah. But another guy, I thought when you said 10, I know I eliminated him. But this guy, I don't think he was on PED, but he's not getting any recognition as Albert Bell.
Yes.
9 out of 10 years he drove
That is
100
true.
plus RBIs.
Yes, he did. Yep, Albert Bell. I like Albert
But we had to
Bell,
look
man.
at Dale
I like
Murphy, too.
Yeah, Dale Murphy.
Was it
Oh,
2 or
man,
3
there's-
MVPs?
He could
Well,
hit.
we didn't
He
talk
was
about
a
Barry
complete
Bonds
hitter.
also. If you're going to
As I
bring
I
said,
had Barry Bonds. I had
You had
Barry Bonds.
Rodriguez,
on
you
my-
gotta have Barry Bonds.
You got to have Barry Bonds there. Yes.
I want to bring something up. The most walk-off hits in history
right.
by career.
Okay.
So this was interesting because this, I think, is a great example. What this shows is guys who come in clutch late in the game. It doesn't necessarily show what happens earlier in the game, so somebody's ability to bring in runs, but when the game's on the line. So this is career walk-off hits. Number 1 is Frank Robinson. So we had already mentioned him.
just said
So
that,
there you
man.
go. If it's a test, you got the answer.
I got it.
Number 2 is Dusty Baker.
Whoa.
Oh,
How about that? So a guy that I think is over when you manage for so long,
when he was with the Dodgers.
probably.
Yeah.
And he played with the Giants for
Atlanta
a
Braves,
while
right?
as well.
Atlanta.
But a guy that really gets overshadowed, man. Nobody pays enough attention to him as a player, and a guy
Wow.
who didn't
Never
maybe
would've
put up
guessed it.
huge numbers, but he was clutch.
He
man.
could hit.
Number 3, Albert Pujols. So
Yeah.
that's pretty obvious. Number 4, Andre Dawson.
Oh,
How about that?
yes.
The Hawk.
The Hawk. Yes.
Okay. Number 5, we have David Ortiz.
Yeah.
Mentioned
I figured
him.
that.
Number
Right.
6, Tony Perez.
See,
Oh,
Tony, mi amigo.
Number 7, Roberto Clemente.
Yeah,
I
I-
missed that.
Dang, I
It's on
thought I
your
had
list?
him down. No,
No,
I was
no.
visualizing
I would say
him
for a
and I
couple of
forgot to-
Clemente fans, you
Yes.
went right over him.
Yeah.
Number
I am a
8,
Clemente fan.
Rusty Staub.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
Russell.
there
big
you go.
Rusty
How about
can
that
hit,
one?
man. The
Yeah.
Mets.
Yeah.
He can hit the Koufax easily.
Did you used to play with him?
Played on the same team.
Yeah, on the same team. Yes.
So then
Wow.
tied for 9th. Well, I didn't give you the numbers. Sorry. Frank Robinson had 26 walk-off hits. That's
Okay.
pretty impressive.
That
We'll
is.
jump down to tied for 9 at 18. Okay. Carlton Fisk,
Okay.
I can see that.
Don Baylor,
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Okay.
can see that.
Hank Aaron,
Yeah.
Lou Whitaker,
No.
Sweet Lou from the Detroit Tigers.
No, I wouldn't.
I wouldn't have thought
Well,
that.
he should be in the Hall of Fame anyway.
He should be.
Manny Mota.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had
I
never
can see
heard of
that.
Manny Mota.
Yeah, really?
Really? Never
Oh,
heard
we
of
both
him.
said-
Pirates, both.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
He
yeah.
can hit.
Hitter.
Yeah.
I was born in 2003.
Yeah, we forget. But yeah.
Guys
No,
who aren't in the Hall of Fame,
But
it's
I
hard
remember
for me to.
we just played the Dodgers. The game's
Yep,
over,
he was-
and he's out taking batting practice. They have the guy throw the ball up and in, so he learn how to hit the ball.
Yes.
Put the ball in play. He didn't want to go up there and walk. He's a pinch hitter.
Yes. Yes.
But I mean, he's a guy who played for 20 years,
Yes.
Yeah.
but only accrued 17 WAR over that period, and he only ever played. Especially with the Dodgers towards the end, he's playing under 100 games. So you mentioned him being a pinch hitter. So that's one of my favorite parts of this podcast is that George has brought up the pinch hitter specialists.
Yes.
Like nobody
Yes.
remembers those guys, but if
And
you were
yes.
playing, you can't forget them.
I watched a lot of baseball. My mind is like, glued to baseball, all sports, but baseball. But when George kind of, bring up something like, yeah, man, I remember him. I remember that card, man, and everything.
I remember Manny
it's
Mota
pretty
as
cool.
a Dodger.
Yeah.
Me too.
So
And
then-
it's pretty
He
cool.
played
when George,
forever.
Yeah, he did.
Yes, he
So then, and then the last tied for 9th is Stan Musial.
Okay.
And then I'll go ahead and give you. So that brings up all the way to 14, and then I'll give you the guys that are tied for 15, which takes it all the way up to 21 total. But tied at 17 are Barry Bonds,
Okay, yep.
Brooks Robinson,
I have Barry out here.
I thought Barry would be higher, but
Greg Nettles,
okay, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Jack Clark.
I can see Jack Clark.
Yeah.
Okay.
Jack Clark with the Giants. I saw him turn a Tom Seaver fast. I'm playing left center. He hit the ball down. I said, "What's going on, Tom? Did he know what's coming?" And then with the Cardinals, clutch.
Yeah, with the Cardinals, he
Oh,
was clutch.
man.
Yes.
Okay. Then we
Yeah.
have Jimmy Fox,
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Lance Parrish,
Land.
Detroit
Wow.
Tigers
Yep.
again.
and then
Angels.
rounding it off at 21.
Lance Parrish was Texas too, right? Yeah.
I know it's more Detroit.
I got
Yeah,
to do I have to
Detroit
settle
more.
this
Oh,
for
was
you
that
guys.
again?
Detroit, Philadelphia, Angels, Cleveland, Pittsburgh, and Toronto. So he played a little bit
Yeah,
everywhere.
he played. Yeah.
And then rounding it off is Pete Rose. Had 17 career walk-off hits.
I could see Pete Rose.
Now,
I can
so
see
I
Pete
just
Rose.
I found that interesting because those are not. There are some not as notable players in there that maybe didn't have the career stats otherwise, but clutch hitters nonetheless. And then just for fun, we'll do career walk-off home runs.
Okay.
Number 1, Jim Thome.
Oh
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
We talked about him a while
not
with
surprise.
power
We
hitters
hadn't
being
even mentioned his
underrated.
name. Yeah.
Nope, we have.
That's
13 career walk-off home runs.
That's a
If
lot,
that's not
man.
so impressive,
So Ortiz had to be up there, right?
he's up here. Number 2, and then tied for second with 12 is Albert Pujols,
Yeah.
Babe Ruth, Frank Robinson, Mickey Mantle, and Stan Musial.
Yeah.
Tied for 7th with 11, David Ortiz, Jimmy Fox, Ryan Zimmerman. How about that?
Ryan with
Yeah,
the Nationals.
with the
Wow.
Nationals.
The Nationals. Yep.
And then Tony Perez.
Okay.
I remember when Ryan Zimmerman played college baseball for Virginia.
And then I'll throw out 11 through 18 just for fun because number 11 is Adam Dunn. And I just
Donkey.
I love mentioning Adam Dunn.
Yeah.
Barry Bonds, it's kind of obvious. Dick Allen,
Oh yeah.
Harold Baines.
Yes.
I would not have guessed that.
He gets lost.
Jason Giambi,
Yeah.
Mike Schmidt,
Yeah.
Reggie Jackson, and Sammy Sosa.
Yeah.
Okay.
But anyway, those are the guys, man, and that came through in the clutch, and it. I think career walk-off home runs is a little more big names, but walk-off
Yes.
hits, man, there's
Yeah.
some gems in
One
there.
thing-
It is.
Because the other one is deceiving because some of these teams are smart enough to pitch around and not pitch to those
Yeah.
guys who
Yeah.
can hit the ball out of the park.
Yeah.
So Pete Rose, well, they figure that we can get a Pete Rose all out because you have a Morgan or Bench or those guys coming up.
Yeah.
But that was the key, though. I remember Tommy John pitched with the Dodgers, and he said he had it all fine tuned. I know I'm going to be in there for 21 outs, and then 7 innings at least,
Yep.
and make sure guys are not on base when I'm up or power hitters up. So he's only giving up 1 run, but try to get a Pete Rose out or get a Griffey out so that now he's giving up a solo. But there's a guy that he should be in the Hall of Fame. I think like 288 victories. And
Yeah.
I know that Kershaw's going to make it with 225.
Yeah, but he's got 3,000 strikeouts.
3,000. Then Verlander has, what?
Shoot, he got about
250, 266.
Yeah, but he has
266.
3,000 over 3,000 strikeouts.
But I'm
too.
looking at the victories.
yeah,
Yeah.
victories. Yeah.
Yeah, he was kind of on that final frontier, maybe getting to 300 wins. And
Scherzer's going to be like that too.
yeah.
Yeah,
He's at like
3,000.
234.
Yeah.
But
he's got 3,000 strikeouts.
I think the important things that the differences in these two lists highlights is that the walk-off doesn't have to be a home run, you know?
Right.
See, what I'm wanting to know is I would love to know what those hits were.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So you take who and you line them up and you say, okay, if Pujols had however many he had,
Could be a walk.
Well, I can actually tell you that.
and he hits this handed, what are each one of those?
Of his 20 of Pujols' 20 walk-off hits, 6 were singles, 2 were doubles, no triples, and that's crazy for Albert Pujols. He's so good. And 12
he
home
wasn't fast.
yeah, and 12 home runs.
Yeah, but were they bunts? Were they opposite
No.
fields?
Oh,
Were
no,
they,
he ain't gonna bunt.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. I'm not
yeah.
talking about him specifically.
okay.
I'm just
Oh,
saying,
yeah.
like what of these game-winning hits? What were
Well,
they?
and the other
I
thing
would
is
love to know
you'll
that.
notice a lot of time, maybe man on third, and you hit it in the gap, and it's going to
get
go
a
down as
single.
a single, but
Right.
who knows what it could
Like
have been.
Ventura hit a grand slam, but he only they didn't count. Oh, he didn't go all the way around. He stopped at second base, and they start crowding around him. So he didn't get credit for a grand slam.
That's funny.
So you finished the season last year, exhausted from all the travel and the tournaments, and you tossed your gear in a bag where it's been sitting all winter. Now you're ready for another year, but your favorite glove that fits just right is an error waiting to happen. The leather's dry, the laces are brittle, and this year you're on a new team with new colors, and it sure would be cool if it matched. Well, wouldn't it be great if you had a glove guy who could help you out with that? You do. His name is Ethan, and he owns Glovehound Baseball Glove Repair Shop in Fairfield, Ohio. Just contact him at glovehound.com and upload pictures of your glove. He'll give you a call back to talk it over, and then you can send it in for a repair, relace, recondition, whatever you need. If you're in the area, you can even just stop by the shop. That way you don't have to bother with shipping, and a lot of times he can even fix it while you wait. Rawlings, Wilson, Mizuno, All-Star, Nakona, he's seen them all, and he's helped players at all levels, from beginners to pros. Last year he worked on a glove that Jose Trevino used in the World Series, and he can help you too. You can find Glovehound on Google, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and on the web at glovehound.com. You're only going to get busier, so reach out today and give your glove the love it deserves at Glovehound. So I mean, those are some great guys that we talk about who had that clutch hitting success. So what is that clutch hitting success? And this is my attempt to define this. Is I sort of set this as our parameters for discussion today, but I defined it as, and this is just me, I defined it as the perfect blend of mental toughness, plate discipline, and aggressive energy. So the idea is, first we have mental toughness, the ability to keep it together when the pressure's on. You're not caving. You even the people are screaming and everything's going on, and you got guys on base and they need to come in, and the manager's expecting of you, your teammates are expecting of you. You got all this going on, and yet you manage to close it out and get it done. Then in addition to that, you have plate discipline. And by plate discipline, I'm not just talking about choosing balls or strikes. I'm talking about being able to use some of the situational strategies that George has talked about, and I'm sure he'll talk about again here in a minute, with how many strikes you got on you, where are you looking for the pitch to be? Is it in the hitting zone? Can I hit that ball? What can I, some of these different, am I going opposite field? Am I going to try and pull it? Am I bunting? Am I hit and run? Am I doing some of the other things we talked about in part 2, where we talked about moving runners? Getting them home is just moving runners again. So a lot of that stuff still applies. It's just a little bit more high pressure. And then finally, with the aggressive energy, can you spark that rally that fires your team up and leads to not just whatever runs you can drive in, but more than that? The guy behind you, the guy behind him, these kinds of things. So can you be that person that can take that calculated risk and say, I'm gonna swing at it if it's in the hitting zone. I'm gonna try and put it where it needs to go and get done what needs to get done. So when you talk about the mix of those three things, my question is, especially George, in your experience, how do you develop those mental parts of the game? We know about tee work and batting practice and a lot of things that we've already talked about, but man, how do you get mentally tough?
Well, that's that word you hit on, the key word is developing. Yeah. And you talk to guys or watch guys or Tony Perez or Reggie Jackson or Albert Pujols, you see what they do. And it's not, when you talk about being disciplined, it's not just strikes and balls. It's the fact that, okay, I'm going to hit the ball up the middle or hit the right field. I don't care where he's going to throw it. I'm going to hit it there. Because how do I develop that in batting practice? I remember way back with Manny Mota, he practiced hitting bad balls to put the ball in play. Yeah. And Yogi Berra is the best bad ball hitter of all time. But knowing that you're not going to get good pitches a lot of time to hit, but learn how to hit those situations. But the mental toughness is very important. Understanding the mental toughness comes from the fact that you knowing that you're not going to do it all the time, but still put that effort into doing it. But I didn't look at it. I didn't look at it as pressure. I looked at it as a challenge. You're like, it's my time to shine. I can do this. Put me in that situation. I'm looking forward to it. I don't care who's out there, a J.R. Richard or Steve Carlton or Nolan Ryan. I feel that I know what I need to do. So I'm disciplined mentally in knowing what I need to do mechanically. So all those things come into play. But you don't want to go out there and trying to be the hero and hit a home run. Yeah. You don't have to, when you say clutch hitting, it doesn't have to be a hit. Mm-hmm. It's just being able to put the team in a position to win.
Yes. Right, exactly. Yes. And you played in one of the toughest places on earth. You played in New York. I mean, you talk about how do you shut out? Bring that up? How do you shut out that crazy New York noise and concentrate?
Earplugs. No, you got to go. You got to go to the game prepared and being able to visualize and being able to block that out. And for me, I would listen to music if it's Al Green or James Brown, so that I'm into that rhythm. And I hear people; they may be saying something, but it's like this new place. But there's like wow. So it's knowing what I need to do, so that what they say is not going to change my mindset.
That's cool.
So what I'm hearing is that it's the confidence that you have in the ability that you've formed in practice.
Right.
It's the confidence in all that work that brings you that peace of mind in the moment. And so what you're not trying to do, you said don't be the hero. You're not trying to do something out of the ordinary. You're trying to do this.
Well, it's trying to do ordinary thing extraordinarily well.
Okay. I like that. That's a good one. Right. But that, I always wondered when I was playing, where does the confidence come from? How do I know? Well, you're going to be nervous if you're unprepared. So if
you're not sure of yourself.
Exactly. So that preparation brings the confidence.
But the Rick.
Go ahead.
Really not, but yeah. What comes first, chicken or the egg? The confidence or the results. So by being able to do it on a consistent basis, that confidence comes to play.
One.
But the confidence comes in trusting your mechanic, trusting your judgment, trusting your decision. I remember back with JR's up there. He's a right-hander, threw hard, had a fastball slider. So what can I do to change what he's going to throw? So I got on top of the plate, and the catcher felt, well, I'm guarding against the slider. No, I'm looking fastball. So they did what I wanted, threw me a fastball, but I had to trust that. So, well, maybe he will, maybe not. By that time, the ball's on top of me. But I'm get on top of the plate, look fastball. And as a hitter, you need to make adjustments. And I see guys, they strike out 3 or 4 times, they didn't make any adjustment. They didn't get close to the plate, they didn't choke up or really focus on playing. I remember back, Harry Walker would say, play pepper with the pitcher, hitting the ball back through the middle.
What were you going to say? Yeah, that's a great point, John.
Yes, it is. Well, I'm going to talk on the youth level now a little bit. And confidence starts with playing other sports also, where you get coached differently. So
you're talking about being confident with your athleticism.
yes, but also it's a mental also. So say, for instance, my son Ricky they played other sports. Ricky he was a running back. So he understands, how to get tackled, how to score in certain scoring touchdowns or whatever. Or he's got to pick up a block. Plus, he is a leadoff hitter. So giving him learning that on that other end, when he came back to baseball, it slowed down for him because he knew how to handle failure. You understand what I'm saying? So
And
by you playing
chaos too.
Huh?
Chaos too, playing
exactly.
football. Yeah.
Or rugby or whatever sport it is. And so now, since he is a leadoff hitter, he understood pressure. So it was just automatic for him just because you played other sports and the fact that he's been in pressure situations. Another thing is too, when you're playing against better competition, you're going to fail a lot against older teams or better teams, but the more you go through it, the more you should get mentally tough. Some will, some won't.
So what I'm hearing, that's a great point. What I'm hearing is that it's how you practice, and then it's just doing it, just being in the situation over and over and over and over again, which reminds me of, okay, so going back to music, okay, as a trumpet player, I remember, you always want to be the guy who blows the high note, right? That's your thing, okay? So what I learned, I'll never forget this. I was maybe, how old was I? Maybe 14 maybe. I went to a thing. One of the music stores in Columbus was having a thing, and Doc Severinsen was going to be there, and you could go and meet him. And I was so excited to go and meet him. Right, so we would go by, and he had, just like normally when you would do a signing, he had a stack of like pictures of himself or something, and he would sign it and hand it to you and shake your hand and meet you. And I carried my Arbin's book. Now, the Arbin's book is the Bible for trumpet players. It's about this thick, and every serious trumpet player owns one. And you spend most of your life trying to go through this book. It's just what we all do. And so I carried it with me in there. And when he reached for the thing, I said, "Would you mind signing this?" And he flipped out. He said, "Yeah, I remember this thing. Oh, have you ever played this one? Have you ever played this one?
Wow.
Hey, grab me a horn real quick. Grab me a horn." So this guy just hands him just some horn, some mouthpiece, just any old thing, doesn't matter. He picks it up and just starts laying fire with this thing, just blowing and turned it into a clinic. There's like 10 of us in line, and he's telling everybody what's going on and explaining and sharing. And he's like, "Oh, we probably got to go. All right, here, let me sign your book." And he signs my book and he sends me on. And I was like, I'll never forget that in my life. It was amazing. And
but look what it was like a life changer, that situation.
But what I learned, this guy had not warmed up. He'd not played a note all day. And he picked up that horn and played things I could only dream of. And that's when I understood what I call the high note principle, which is when you go see somebody whose job it is to do that, they're never playing to the very extent of their level, of their ability on stage. They're not playing the highest note they can play on stage. They're not doing the, they're doing what they know they can comfortably do over and over and over and over again on stage. Yes. Because that's, people are counting on them. People are showing up going, I didn't come here to hear you make mistakes, right? Yeah. So they're doing what they have practiced so much that they know they can do in their sleep without even thinking about it.
Because the practice is beyond the average performance.
Exactly. And this is where I was thinking about this after part 2 the other week when we were talking about becoming a hitter with options. And I'm like, if you really think about it, if we did this in the proper perspective, then we would practice 2 or 3 times as much as we play.
Yes.
We would actually practice more than we play. And what happens is because of the busy schedules and because it's hard to get a field and 100 different other things. And I'm not just picking on coaches and organizations, but because of all of the different factors that go into youth baseball, we end up playing way more than we end up practicing. And the problem is
playing at it.
Now we're putting them in these situations where we're asking them to do things that they haven't practiced so much they can do in their sleep.
That describes Dela Cruz.
Yeah, there you go.
Put him in a situation he's not prepared for, and nobody's there to teach him what to do. Yeah. But back to what Rick was saying, I like the expression, you win or you learn. And if you don't learn from the situation, I felt you failed because you're not going, winning or losing, winning or not winning, you can learn from the situation. And like in tennis, you may say you come up against Coco and the fact that, okay, I didn't win that time, but what did I learn for the next time?
Yes.
And same with me when I'm facing a certain pitcher.
Yep.
I didn't get any hits that day, but I said, okay. Or maybe I didn't get hit first time up. Okay, I made the adjustment. So the next time I'm ready for that situation. Yes. But that comes from back to Ethan saying confidence.
Yes.
You believe in yourself, and now you believe in that application.
Well, but I love that so much, and I think that's so important for youth players because that makes the failure not the end of the world.
Right.
And because so often, we talk about being afraid to strike out, and then that just ruins your whole game because you had one strikeout. Whereas,
you're terrified that's going to sit you on the bench and you're not going to get to play anymore.
That too, but being able to turn the failure into a positive thing, and even in those clutch moments, even if it doesn't, you don't come through, you learn from it, and the next clutch moment, you can bring that information with you.
More time.
So, what you're saying? So, I seen your transition from high school to here. Okay, you see what I'm saying? And then I see all the things when you were sitting over here. I see all the transitioning stuff that you've been doing to now you're up there running your own stuff now, man. You know what I'm saying? So at first I'm sure you thought like, man, I don't fail, but hey, but you learned a lot through this process of Glovehound and stuff through, it's like, oh, okay, I didn't know I had this in me, man.
Well, and to pull it out of baseball for just a minute, I mean, something that I struggle with personally is being afraid to fail. That's not something you struggle with. You're very good at just going through it and learning as fast as possible to get down the road as fast as possible. Whereas sometimes they call it paralysis by analysis.
Yeah.
Man,
I use that a lot.
That could be my middle name, man. I mean, it's just when I have kind of an analytical, logical mind, and I struggle with that.
But that fear is going to keep you from. You're going to limit what you can do because you want to play it safe and stay in within.
100%
in that comfort zone.
Yes.
But you got to get out of that comfort zone to go to the next level.
But just an instant kind of application of that. One thing that I learned with running my business is last year I worked way too many hours, and I didn't budget my time well. I didn't manage my time well, and all that kind of stuff. And at first I looked back, I was like, man, that didn't go well. But then I went, well, how can I change that?
Right.
This year's been a lot better. It's been a lot easier on me. So being able to pull out the value.
And you've done more work this year.
I've done more.
Yes.
I've done. My revenue is roughly the same, but I haven't had to work as hard to get there. If that makes sense. So
Smart.
But but being able to pull information out of a failure is so important. And that was something I struggled with as a youth player that I've been able to learn later in life. And had I been able to tell my youth self, like, hey, it's really not the end of the world. But if it does, when it does happen, it's not if, it's when. When you do fail, how can you change it to try to avoid it in the future? And
so to answer your question, when you asked the question a while ago, you said, where does the confidence come from?
Failure.
Well, it comes from a combination of practice, experience, and failure.
Yes.
Those are the three things that bring that confidence. First of all, it's an abundance of practice. It is practicing more than you play. And this is why we advocate getting a private teacher, because your private teacher is going to give you reps and your lesson, and your private teacher is going to give you assignments to do in between games. And so by having a private teacher, you're going to have someone prodding you to put that practice time in, which is helpful. Mm-hmm. So, but you have to understand, you're not going to play 10,000 hours of baseball. Well, I don't know. George probably has played 10,000 hours of baseball by now, but the average person is probably not going to play 10,000 hours of baseball in their lifetime, but they may practice and play, that much time. So playing more than you practice is a good rule of thumb.
It's a tough measure.
Practicing more than you play.
Yes.
Yeah. But it's a tough measure of how much do you need to practice more than you play. But it's just go out there and try to fine tune your skills so that now it becomes a muscle memory. But other things that I look at you want to strive to use positive words. And instead of, I wouldn't say failure, I would say not succeeding.
Right.
I wouldn't, instead of saying struggle, I would say more so challenge, because it brings on that positive energy.
That's a good point.
But it's more of a self-talk and knowing that whatever you say, you're giving it out to the universe. So, and it's like a boomerang sometimes, but you want to give positive thoughts and your voice, when you say something, you're putting power behind that. Mm-hmm. So just try to be positive in whatever you say.
That's a good point.
And on the topic of practice, when the first thing that comes to mind when we talk about practicing and playing games is I think of scheduled practice and scheduled games. But what we're talking about, it's not we need to have more team practices than games.
Right.
And this is something that I think we've uncovered throughout this process is the different types of practice. And and that's something that you you were on the forefront of that because you focused on, or you emphasized the importance of individual practice to hone your individual skills, to then bring that and be prepared for the team practice.
Yes, exactly.
Because George, how often at the pro level do you have somebody working on something individually while everyone else is out there? Would it not usually be you're going to go out with your position coach, get that work in before you start running team chemistry type drills?
That's as a coach and then as a player, because I'm watching in spring training, because I look at these guys, they're not. Go back to Billy Hamilton. They're not taking him to one field and work on his skills.
Yes.
His skill is being able to hit the ball on the ground, bunt, and get on base. So that's going to, now you blend that into the lineup, okay? Finding out a guy can hit the ball, teach him how to hit to the right side, being right-handed. Because I put him in second position, so I'm going to hit and run, and knowing that Billy Hamilton's on base, I'm going to hit. Now you have first and third. So it's going to be a challenge when you have the whole team there, and I want you to work on your bunting, and the other guy, you only get a chance to bunt by 5 or 6 times. Right. How much is that going to be ingrained for you? But I know with us, it's like Foster, Griffey, Dreesen, Concepcion. You go to field one or bench or Morgan, they're going to go work on what they need. Yeah. Say, with Morgan's case, he'd been left-handed hitter. He may want to hit off left-hander. Mm-hmm. And even in my case, I felt I got more prepared facing a left-hander because he had the movement on the ball. And then that breaking ball, that's the one thing I laugh at these right-handed batters getting hitting the ball and hitting themselves because they're trying to hit that slider that's coming in. They're hitting the back part of the spin instead of the front part. But then they say, I would ask him, how did that happen? Or why you keep letting that happen? But there's nobody to teach him differently.
Right.
Yeah. Well, and that's another way that you might know if you're a young or developing player. Another way that you might realize is if you get asked to do something and there's any doubt in your mind that you could pull it off. Like if you're sitting there, if coach says, "Hey, I need you to go in and pinch hit. I need you to go in there and lay down a bunt and get on base." We listen now. If there's any doubt in your mind and your ability to pull that off, then there needs to be some more practice.
Well, I think that brings up two things. One is, well, let me get this out. So I was a part of a lot of practices where we were trying to fix individual issues with the whole team present. So an example, I'm standing out on third base or maybe, shagging balls, and the kid at bat is trying to get mechanic instruction. That's not really the time to do that. It's not. So it's inefficient. And a lot of times you just end up reinforcing the things you're already good at. Mm-hmm. Okay. So if the confident hitter goes up there, coach lobs him batting practice, hits it all over the field where people are just shagging. There's no really purpose. Okay. Uh-huh. And then he goes back and he's not really any better. And so when it comes to, if you have that doubt in game, because you're never 100% confident. There's always going to be stuff to work on, but that doubt is an indicator of something that you need to work on.
Yes.
It's what I used to have my trumpet teacher in college used to talk about, is it a tool in your toolbox? Mm-hmm. Okay. Mm-hmm. If you can go to the toolbox, pull it out and reliably use it, then it's a tool in your toolbox. If it's not, then you haven't mastered that tool and you need to spend some more time with it.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So if I can say, hey, can I toss you in here and can you sit in with this group and sight read this piece and just play this part you've never seen before? If your skills aren't up to par with that, then it's not a tool in your toolbox, and you can't just go sit in and do that. I'll never forget there was I was traveling with a gospel quartet, and we would go and sing places, and I was the only guy who could play an instrument, so I was playing, and we were singing, and then sometimes the pastors would get all excited and they'd want to stand up and start singing a song, right? So like, hey, everybody sing that. You know this one, right? Let's all sing this song, right?
That sounds
and so I would be like, okay, just have at it, and I just kind of find them and accompany them. I may never have heard that song before in my life, but if I can listen to them and I know enough about what it is, I can find them and I can follow it.
Know the foundation.
And so there was one time this guy did that, and he just picked a key out of the air. So I just found him and played behind him, and he didn't realize he'd picked a key that was going to be way too high for him. I said, "Hey man, you bought the ticket, you take the ride." I just kept playing, just looking at him. He didn't do that anymore, but that's. But anyway, yeah, if it's not a tool, if you can't go and pull that tool out of the box and use it reliably, then you need to work on that. You need to spend more time with that tool. It's not in your toolbox yet.
Yeah. Well,
playing the game of
patience,
any sports, but especially baseball, it's like taking a test in school. So you study, and then now you take a test to see how much knowledge you gain. Mm. So it's the same thing in fielding, running, batting. It's the fact that, okay, you're going up to bat. Now it's a test of what you recall, what your muscle memory is. And you may succeed or may not. But the fact is, okay, you're willing to get better, go back and find out what is, I use the expression, for every result, there's a cause. Yes. What is that cause? Okay, I'm popping the ball up. Okay, what is that call? But a lot of people get into, you're turning your head, you're pulling off. That's too many.
Yeah, it's too many things.
It's usually just one little thing. Okay, yeah. Okay, you're opening up. That's it.
Yeah. There's also another thing too that a lot of people. That's funny. George was saying that they do. So we're talking about pressure, and when you work on.
Pressure is having your head in a vice.
When you're working on a two-strike approach, man, and you go down swinging, okay? at younger ages, they'll probably come back crying or, mad at themselves. Like, okay, you need to pick them up. Or sometimes I'll throw a curveball or change up. They foul it off. I said, man, that's great, man. So you got to keep building them up because they need to also know that, man, you fouled off. That's probably his best pitch to try his out pitch to get you off, and you fouled it off, man. Now what you gonna be hunting for? I'm hunting fastball. Exactly. You hunting fastball in the zone you want to hit it in. So, but you got to continue. I think coaches out there, you got to continue working with kids on that until that's built in, and it's automatic where there's no fear. You come out. Because of course you don't want to wait 0-2. You want to hit while you're ahead.
Right.
Well, and that brings me up to this question. I mean, Rick, you've thrown more batting practice than the average human being in your lifetime.
I have. I've thrown a lot.
When do you decide, and how often do you decide that? Okay. Let me go back to a specific experience. I remember I took Ethan for a lesson one time, and Ethan was hitting pretty well. But he couldn't get out of his head, and he was struggling. And so you started throwing batting practice, and you threw him some stuff, and he hit it, right? And then you started throwing the nastiest junk I've ever seen.
Knuckle curve,
and he couldn't hit a thing. And you didn't give him an inch. You just kept throwing, and you just kept throwing. And by the time he was almost in tears, he was so frustrated. And then you stopped, and you said, "All right, now, are you good and mad now? Yeah. All right then. Now turn that and focus it and hit this." And then you switched and started. But it was like, how do you know when to challenge the hitter by throwing them junk and really make them work for it?
When, especially in situations, because it's going to come up. Everybody's going to have a two strikes on them at some time in their batting careers, and the more you go over it, the more they'll get comfortable. So let's go back. I had a kid; he was hitting off the tee, and I had him hit right side. He kept pulling everything. Mm-hmm. Okay, so after a while, you don't want to keep telling the kid, saying you want them to kind of figure it out. You know what I'm saying? Because I think what happens at games, everybody's, hey, get your arm up, get here, do this and that. So they start overthinking. So I think he had about 10 swings, George. I said, go right center, man. He kept pulling everything. Why I keep doing that?
Right.
I figured it out. We done been over it so many times. And sometimes you got to give them, it's okay to fail, but I'm going to help you work through it. You're going to have to work through it on your own. Yeah. Because when you have to play, it's just you and the pitcher, man. It ain't it ain't you, the coach, your parents. We ain't all at the plate. And so you got to give them that rope to, okay, it's able, you work through it, man. And I think we don't do enough of that.
Coaches not patient enough.
Yeah.
Yes.
I agree with that, because you can tell somebody how to do something as much as you want, but if it doesn't click in their brain, then it doesn't really matter. So if they never have to work through it on their own, and you don't try to turn that on in practice, then why would it happen in a game?
Yes.
For example, I was shooting archery with my buddy yesterday, and we both were talking about how we're pulling down into the left, and I said I know not to do that, but that doesn't make it that much easier. I have, because I haven't shot very much, so I have to work through that. But yeah, that's a great point, that if the kid never fights through it on their own, they don't know how, and they don't have the confidence.
Because someone is always there to pick them up. Or it's almost like
micromanagement.
Yes, micromanaging, or you're not helping them with failure. Yeah. And then really failure, truthfully, I mean, if you know how to spin it the correct way.
Well,
that's a fantastic
and that's
point.
If you foul, like I said, I throw you a curveball, you foul it off. Man, that's pretty cool, man.
Yeah.
Well, and that's how that session
wasn't a swing and miss, but you fouled it off to keep the.
That's how that session ended. I'll never forget, because he was just getting more and more frustrated, and it's at one point in time he fouled something off, and you were like, okay,
yeah,
now I've been tough on you. I haven't given you an inch, but you just fouled that pitch off. And 10 minutes ago, you couldn't even think about hitting that pitch. He said, because you had to fight through it.
Yes.
You were building fight in him. And I appreciated that.
And I think too, and George, and I know you understand this too, as you move up levels from high school to college, that's what coaches want. Those kids that's going to fight through.
Right.
Yeah.
But they're not going to, a lot of them not going to take the
No,
time.
they ain't going to take the time.
You got to be ready when you get there.
You got to be, exactly.
But it's back to that word adjusting.
Yes.
Make the adjustments.
Yes.
Because and try to make it humorous and fun for the kids.
Yeah, same.
So I would ask them to hit the ball to right field, and they keep hitting the left. I said, okay, no, the other.
Yes.
So it's just trying to make it humorous, and then okay, let's fine tune it. Hit it up the middle. Hit it back.
Yes,
hit it back to me, because they don't know what the middle sometimes.
No,
it sounds funny. Hit it back to me.
Yep.
And then when they do it, or if I have them, I say I want to hit it up the middle, but then they hit to the left center. That's where I want to hit it.
Right. Yes.
But they being able to focus on something
Yes.
and being successful in doing it.
I might put up something like an L screen. I'll say, hey, see if you can hit that, man. You know, if you do, you win some Pop-Tarts or something. Like, oh, man, they get focused.
Rick and his Pop-Tarts.
With the Pop-Tarts. He motivated more kids with Pop-Tarts.
Yes, they've won a lot, man.
But that's an amazing thing. I never ever left a lesson with Rick and was upset. It always ended on a high note.
Yes,
Even if I was
key.
struggling and I went, man, I got to work on that. I was never. It was always positive. It always ended positively, and that's something that Rick or that George mentioned way earlier is the importance of that positive reinforcement. And you know, you got positive and negative connotations, and you can make anything.
You have a choice.
You do. It's a choice, and so what I think we've uncovered is that to build this clutchness, it's confidence. And that happens in practice, and it's hard to do that negatively. That has to be built positively, and that's like oxygen. Positivity is like oxygen to the flame of confidence. You know what I mean?
Yes. Right.
And it's like negativity smothers it out.
It's
It
like
doesn't
carbon dioxide.
it doesn't necessarily make it go away. You can still be clutch if somebody's hard on you all the time, but it's a lot easier if somebody's positive and that flame just grows a lot hotter.
And the point that Rick just made a while ago, which is as you come up through the levels, coaches are going to expect that you have more tools in your toolbox.
Yes.
You know, by the time you get to the major leagues, you've signed a contract, you're being paid well, you're
especially
there.
these days.
And they're going to turn to look at you, and if they say, Foster, I need you in there, you got to pinch hit and do something.
Right.
They expect that you know how to do it or you wouldn't be there.
Right. Got to be ready for it. But I just knew when I was being platoon, and then I had a mentor, Willie Mays. I'm asking him, Sparky said I can't hit right-handers. So that word can't, I said maybe I had a challenge in hitting the breaking ball or hitting right-handers, but I need an opportunity. So, but he said, always be ready.
Yep,
and
that's
even though you're not physically into the game, mentally be into the game. Because when they call on you, can't,
ready.
Okay, I got to go off a list of things. You got to be ready at that particular time.
Yes, sir.
So I just knowing that with Sparky, some guys, you know, they have an ego. And so he wanted to prove me wrong on certain situation. So I came up in a situation, well, we were winning like 10-1 or so, and then they put me in to give somebody else a rest. And so I ended up hitting a home run against a right-hander to win the game. So after the game, the reporter said, man, Sparky said you can't hit right-handers. And I said, man, if they don't make bats long enough to hit from the dugout. And
that's a good one.
But I don't know how that came about, but I look back, that was very witty.
That was.
But Sparky was fuming.
Oh, yeah.
Because everybody say, Sparky, that was a genius idea. You're putting Foster in. But he wanted me to look bad. So now in the next game, I'm facing Bert Hooten, the right-hander.
Ooh.
Oh, he said, well, he's already put down. Foster's going to go 0 for 4, 2 strikeouts, and lose the game. So I went 4 for 4, 2 home runs, 2 RBIs. But the one thing that stands out in whatever you do in life, don't be concerned of who gets the credit.
Yeah.
So Sparky got the credit in that situation because he put me in the lineup to make me look bad. but I ended up looking good. So they said, "Wow, Sparky, you're a genius."
Ethan is more than my podcast partner. He's my son. And like every baseball parent, my first priority was his development as a player. Every year, we'd start out with a new coach and a new team, making new promises, only to end up playing the same old tournaments with little to no practice in between. You know what I'm talking about. That's why I'm so thankful that we found MD&I Academy. I first met Coach Rick over a decade ago when Ethan was just a kid, and I'll never forget the relief I felt watching his first lesson. I knew right then that no matter what team he played for, my son would have amazing, consistent instruction from someone who cared. Rick has trained baseball and softball players at the select, travel, and even college levels, so I knew that Ethan could continue his excellence through training approach for his whole baseball career. He learned hitting, pitching, catching, fielding, and more all in one place. Most of all, he learned to love the greatest game in the world and how to play it with character and integrity. So if you're wearing yourself out, running all over town to multiple teachers, or worse, you're counting on that new select coach to actually develop your child, you need to check out MD&I Academy today. Go to mdaiacademy.com and contact Coach Rick to learn how you can get all the baseball instruction you need from someone who cares about your favorite player as much as you do at MD&I Academy. Yeah, it's amazing what you can accomplish when you don't care who gets the credit. And
Right.
That's a
In a game situation, if you hit a home run to get the. Oh, this one kid, he ended up quitting baseball because of that factor. So the scouts were out scouting this one pitcher. The pitcher threw a 2-hitter. And the two hits were home runs by this kid. So now the scouts are talking to the pitcher and not the guy hit the home run. So he just felt, I'm giving this up. And I'm not getting any credit from this. But now he has regrets from doing it. But he didn't have anyone telling him, hey, don't be concerned about getting the credit.
Right.
Yes.
Your dues will come about, but keep doing what you're doing. And don't let that one game matter, one time matter.
Well, and that's another common element when you talk about these clutch hitters and all these people that we've named. These guys are team players. These guys are.
That's a key, being a team player. And I look at like the Reds now. It's an individual commitment for a group effort. So what can you do as an individual that's going to blend and help the team win?
That is true. Yeah, I say that a lot. I kind of tell parents that too, or the kids, especially the younger kids, because they got to understand, what if you are not given a scenario, you got man on second and third, man, and you hit a hard ground ball to the second baseman, and they throw you out at first. But what if the runner scores? Man, you did a great job, man. You did your job.
Right.
You're doing a team.
But I didn't get a hit.
Yeah. Sometimes
I didn't
they'll
get a
run back.
No,
and-
but the parents are like, Johnny, why didn't you get a hit? He drove in 3 runs, but he went 0 for 2. Why didn't you get a hit?
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And just understanding and teaching how to play team baseball. That's what we got. We have to get back to doing that.
Yeah, George, that was a gem you just dropped a minute ago. I want to make sure that doesn't go unnoticed. He said it's
hit from the
individual. No. He said it's an individual commitment to a group effort. That is a fantastic way to explain it.
Well, and I think the Reds are a perfect example of that this year. I mean, we are one day removed. This is the day after the last game of the season, and they barely squeaked it in, but they made it in. And OptaStats put this out that the Reds are the first team in MLB history to have no qualifying batter hit 270, no batter hit 25 home runs, no pitcher win 15 games, and no pitcher have 200 strikeouts. I mean,
it's team effort. Yeah.
There are no standout players per se, but what their motto was, they can't kill us. They just keep fighting, and it's a. And Terry Franconis talked about. He said that they are a team. They're just a team, and they are one item.
But
together.
I look at the Mets. They're maybe 2 or 3 guys. 2 or 3 guys that can hurt you.
Yeah.
But in the Reds lineup, there are a lot of guys can hurt you. Like Frito hit a home run. The Dela Cruz, or it's a Steer, or even McLean. But Andujar, I had to tip my hat to Nick Crawl. He got 3 individuals in that trade, the deadline. People are like, why did he said he want a right-handed power hitter, but he knew that good defense stopped offense,
sure does.
good offense.
Yes, it do.
And then you bring in a guy like Andujar because you know that he pulverized left-handed pitching. And then you brought in the pitcher, Littell, I think.
Littell,
But, but those 3 guys really made a big impact on that team.
But just a minute ago when you were talking about your own experience and the reputation you can't hit righties and only being put in to hit lefties, and that was Andujar's reputation was that he could only hit the lefties. Well, the last few games they kept him in there against righties because he had proven himself.
Yeah,
and he was hitting over 300. It wasn't all with the Reds and that kind of thing. So. But yeah, being able to prove yourself, and there's not a doubt in my mind that's something he's working on because he wants to be an everyday player.
But through his career, though, he made a big adjustment, and from the time because he had been released, I think
a couple times.
Either he released or I know he left the Yankees, went to the Pirates,
to the A's.
You get released by the Pirates, that's the lowest.
It is. That is the lowest.
Had a lot of injuries too.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Let me throw this out there for young players too. If you're in a situation where, let's say you're on a team and you're not seeing the playing time that you had hoped you would see or that you would like to see, be honest with yourself. Take a good hard look at yourself and say, how many tools do I have in my toolbox right now?
What's my strength?
Those kids who are out there playing, do they have more tools in their toolbox than I do? And what can I do to spend more time with those particular tools and get them in the box?
But number one is asking the coach, what do you need to do to get more playing time?
Yes.
And don't ask the question, why am I not playing?
Yeah.
It's what do I need to do?
What I need to do, exactly. And also get an evaluation from him. What are my strengths and weaknesses? Okay, because he sees you every day. Now, I always, since I do a lot of different skills with kids that come in from pitching, hitting, and everything, I've got one today, and he's going to try out for high school baseball. Now, I'm going to have to give him an honest assessment of where he's at.
Yeah.
Plus, he's going to Lakota West, so I think I see what they're trying to do, but I'll see down the road. But I have to give him an honest assessment of where he's at because I've always asked him, like, okay, what position you play and who you guys play against and things like that. And I think that parents need to know that once you get through freshman year, then I think whatever level you play in travel or select baseball really doesn't matter too much. It does if you play higher. Some kids play JV, but once you get to JV, 10th grade and above, this is where 16U and up, this is where I think kids need to play higher and better competition because now your goal is when you get to JV, you're going to have kids that's in the 10th and 11th grade. Okay, you get to varsity, you have kids from all levels, and I think that coaches in the summer. And even parents need to understand, or kids need to understand, this is where if you want to make varsity, if this is your goal, then you have to put in the work to get to this varsity level.
That's a good point.
But back to Ethan was talking about, it's not just, like you said, organized practice. You can do things on your own.
Thank you, George.
You can go and if it's tennis balls or safety balls and do soft toss.
Yes.
Work on your throwing. Work on your running. So every aspect of the game you can work in addition to organized practice. When you go to a lesson, don't just take what you learned from the lesson and strive to work on it on your own. That's where it becomes second nature to you.
Yes.
Well, and that just makes a team practice so much more effective and efficient.
The guy's ready.
There was a team in Little League. There was a team that just dog walked everybody else, and every time we walked by them on the field, they were taking infield. They were doing infield, outfield.
Yep.
We never saw them do anything else, and I think they probably did individual stuff otherwise. But it was because they were so sound defensively, you just couldn't get a ball through. And we were, I don't know,
They didn't make the mistakes.
They didn't make any mistakes. We were probably 8, 9, or whatever. And we were like, oh, they don't, this is ridiculous. They never do anything. And they were so sound. And so just to bring that to a team or an organizational perspective, when you allow those players to build those skills individually, it makes, you can then work on that situational play in practice, and then it should translate to the game much better.
It wins. It can win. Whoever make the fewer mistakes have an opportunity to win. Yes, and I said these guys on the major league level, and they don't know, infield fly rule or being able to knowing the situation that's going on. Oh, he hit the line drive to third base, but the guys at second, no outs, hit the ball to the right side. And I think I know I was watching the game. Oh, yeah, back to Andahar. He was committed. The first pitch, he hit to the right side, a line drive to the right side. Mm-hmm. He was committed. He didn't wait, take a couple of strikes and then fight it off. He was aggressive. So he's in a situation that, even if he didn't do it that first pitch, but he's going to being aggressive. Mm-hmm. He was aggressive. The mindset. And he knew what he wanted, discipline up there. Other guys I saw with the Brewers, he takes the first pitch fastball, and now he ends up swinging the ball over his head. Then the best pitch you took.
About Sal Frelick.
It was
I seen that at bat.
Took that fastball. I was like,
did.
That's the best one you're going to get.
Did he end up striking out?
I believe he did. Yeah.
But I'm like, what is he doing?
The funny, it was like the Brewers weren't brewing,
But I don't think they were wanting to compete, but they didn't want it. One part they didn't want to get hurt, or they want to save it.
They had a non-alcoholic day.
yeah. But I know Yelich, he's a good hitter, but he kept swinging at that slider in the dirt.
He did.
What are you doing? Usually would try to go to the left field.
He would be. He can't hit backside.
Did you ever have one of those times, George, where you were maybe before you made it in regularly, where you were platooning, and you were like, I want to get in the game more, and somebody more like a Willie Mays or somebody who was ahead said, all right, this is why you're not in the game, and this is what you need to work on.
Well,
humble pie.
That part of that happened. I'm in the dugout in St. Louis, and Alex Graham is the right-handed Sparky. And I'm sitting there, I always get there early and watch the opposing team hit, just in case I go in for defense. Mm-hmm. And it happened against the Astros. Greg Gross, I watch him in batting practice. He's left-handed. He never hit the ball to the left side of second base. Mm-hmm. So now in the game start, they want me to play left center against him. And I said, I moved there, then I moved back because I know where he hits the ball. And he hit it right to me. They were like,
is he a lefty?
He's a lefty.
So he came back to you then.
Well, yeah, it came back to me, but I'm standing there, it's right to me.
Yes.
But they were, waving the towel and everything, move over, move. I said, okay, when they weren't looking, I moved where I should be. But that came about with Alex Graham. I'm sitting in the dugout. He said, he was serious about it, What is it that you want to do? I said, I just want to play. And he beelined up to the office, and I started to get a chance to play. If I would have said, I just like being here. I love the major league. It's fun. You get a lot of meal money, but I said no. I want to play with conviction, because I had work that had gone to winter ball, so I'm ready to play.
You're ready.
Yeah. Yeah.
But this one though, Mays. It started with Mays and Bonds. When you do something foolishly, you're better than that.
Yeah.
They're watching me. It didn't say, what are you doing?
Right.
No, you're better than that.
Yeah.
And I tell kids that you're better than that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, and that's an important thing to remember is that when you get those mentors, whether it's an instructor or it's a coach or it's just a player who's been around longer than you, a lot of times that's the best way to take that information. But when they just say, "Hey, man, you need to. You're better than that. You can bring more than this."
Yeah.
And that's when you're like, you know what? Maybe I can. I need to put that time in. Level swing. Let it travel. Wait for your pitch. Be aggressive out there. It's no wonder young players get confused at the plate. What if your son or daughter could learn not only how to hit the ball, but also where to hit it, when to hit it there, and why? George Foster has played baseball at the very highest levels. He was the National League MVP when he hit 52 home runs and 149 RBIs in a single season. He led the major leagues in home runs twice and RBIs 3 times. He was a 5-time All-Star, a Silver Slugger, and he helped the Reds win back-to-back World Series. During his 15-year career, George developed a unique approach to hitting that made him one of the greatest hitters of all time, and now your favorite player can learn it too. That's right, baseball legend George Foster is currently accepting new students. Learn the psychology of hitting, situational hitting, hitting for power, bunting, and more. Every team needs players who can hit, and George explains the game in a way that's easy to understand and exciting to learn. So check out GeorgeFosterBaseball.com to learn how you can apply for private lessons with a member of the Cincinnati Reds Hall of Fame. Spots are limited, and the roster will fill up fast, so don't wait. Apply at GeorgeFosterBaseball.com. Let me kind of wrap up some of this stuff here that we've been talking about. So we're talking about this sort of clutch hitting ability, this ability to bring in and score runs. And we spent a lot of time in the heads of players today because I think that's really more than, all the skills that we talked about in part 2, they all apply.
Yeah, just moving runners again.
Hitting Hey, if you can hit a double, you'll move more runners. You hit a triple, you'll move more runners. You hit a home run, you bring them all in and yourself. Okay, hits are the best way to move your runners. Sacrifice if you need to. Learn how to bunt so you can do it in a situation. Yes. Learn how to handle a hit and run. All that stuff we talked about last week, that all applies. The difference between moving runners and scoring runners is, can you do it when the pressure's on and you got to bring them in?
Yeah, and so I do have a specific question about that, George. Earlier in the episode, you had mentioned it's about making adjustments. And you had given the example trying to take away the slider and doing that whole thing. When it comes to a clutch scenario, say, bottom of the 9th or that kind of thing, maybe you have runners on, maybe you don't. When you said make adjustments, those are adjustments I hear you talk about making all the time, not just in clutch moments.
Oh, right.
So my question is there anything that you do differently when the game is on the line, or in terms of your approach, or is it the same situation just brought into a clutch? Same approach given the scenario, and it just happens to be a clutch situation. So, like, for a little more illustration, like if you have a runner on second, okay, and you're up to bat, you have 1 out, and it's a tie ball game. Is that the same? And is that the same mindset you have if in the 9th inning you have a runner on second, 1 out, tie ball game? Do you see what I'm trying to say? Is there anything different that you go, okay, now it really matters, or is it just the same?
It's the same.
Okay, that's what I was after.
You're not going to wait until that high level situation, but because that run is just important later on.
Okay.
So, but for me, I strived on. And when men are in scoring position, but I know I said many times before, I'm in scoring position from home plate. But you got to be able to go out there and be a team player.
Yes.
And it's like a sacrifice. You sacrifice yourself to a degree for the good of the team. Mm-hmm. But I'm looking, I knowing that what his best pitches are, what his repertoire is, what he's thrown me before. So I knowing that I got to really be disciplined and fine tune and take the opportunity out of the mix of hitting the ball to left field. I want to hit it up the middle of right center. When I got 2 strikes, I was really a good hitter because I've really focused on hitting the ball to right center. Okay. It may end up going to left, but your bat should start. I use the numbers 1, 2, 3, outside, down the middle, inside. So if you go, the ball's at 3, you don't go straight to 3. You start at 1, 2, 3. So you have good plate coverage. Right. So I found that being successful.
That's what I have all the time.
Yeah.
I got to also, I'm going to add to that because so this MD&I. So my son Ricky was a leadoff hitter. George is a 4-hole hitter, 3 or 4-hole hitter, but mostly a power hitter.
More power to the people.
So we're talking about situational, having confidence and stuff. Mm-hmm. So he was a leadoff hitter from 12 years old through college, and his high school and all that. So think about all the pressure that he's had every year from there, all the travel and all of that. So you build up that situation. So from 11 and 12, we used to always say, hey, you get your first pitch, you better bang it, okay? But as you get older and moving up, certain coaches have certain strategies, start taking pitches so the other batters behind you can see what the at least in your first at bat. Okay. After that, man, you just seeing and you attacking. So as a leadoff hitter, he can hit, and plus he is a switch hitter. So he knew how to not just hit for power, doubles, triples, drag bunt, push bunt, handle the bat, and understand situations too. Versus the guy RBI guy, if he got runners on base, man, he's going to hunt his pitch a little bit more.
And maybe leadoff is a better illustration of my question, because if you're leading off the 4th inning in a tie game and you're leading off the 9th inning in a tie game, your goal is still get on base. It's not, oh crap, now I have to do this extra thing because it happens to be the 9th inning.
Right.
And that's what I was trying to flesh out, because I think sometimes, especially with younger players, clutch becomes a physical, almost like it becomes a material thing that gets added onto the situation, but it's really not. All you're ever doing is what the situation calls for. Where it happens in the game doesn't really matter, and so
it's a run. It's
exactly.
You apply the same mentality.
Yes.
Yeah.
No matter what inning that it is.
Yeah.
And like I said earlier, that run is just as important as that. You may not need that run in the 9th if you got that runner in the 4th.
Mm-hmm.
Right. But I just find that these guys, they don't understand the one thing that they talk about pitch count. So the guy is taking. I don't like them taking. And I remember it was a while back, they had a general manager for the Reds. They wanted the player to take 2 strikes, take the first pitch up to the 7th inning. And this is not profiling, but Latin players are aggressive.
Yes.
So then the other teams knew they're going to, it's like, here's a lollipop right down the middle. You can't swing at that pitch until after the 7th inning. But they lose their aggressiveness. And I feel that when they talk about the pitch count, I want to get the pitchers to count up. No, swing the bat. You can knock him out. If you want to get him out of the game, you can knock him out.
Thank you. Yeah. There's a and I can't use their name because I'm sure they'll. But anyway, these kids play for this little league team. I'll put it as that. And their coach wants them to take the first pitch all the time. And I was like, oh man. I said, why is he doing that too?
That's sometimes the best pitch.
Thank you. Yeah. And so they struggle. They struggle a lot.
Put them in the hole.
They put them in the hole.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, it limits your opportunity.
Yeah.
I like that.
So now they hitting defensively.
Right.
Yeah. I think an easy way to sum that up, George, is a consistency of intensity throughout the whole game. And like you're saying,
I'm going to write that down.
Yes, that's consistency.
I want royalties every time that shows up in a George Foster lesson.
I'm going to spell it differently though.
But like you said, if you get that run in the 2nd inning, then maybe you don't need it in the 9th inning. And so I think that's a great application of it, is to get ahead early.
Yes.
But then also to relax a little bit later in the game, because when you're so tense, you're more likely to make a mistake than if it's just business as usual.
Yeah.
And I think that could really take a lot. That would have taken a lot of pressure off of me when I was playing. I could say that.
Well, you got to think about, a diamond is a piece of coal with consistent pressure over a long period of time. Mm-hmm. Not a whole lot of pressure. If you put
diamond,
you put a whole lot of pressure on a piece of coal at once, you'll crush it.
Yeah.
But if it's consistent pressure over a long, long period of time, you can turn it into a diamond.
Yeah.
And it's the same sort of thing. It's again, having the tools in your box.
Good analogy.
And using them in the situation. Another reason to, like these guys have said 100 times, whenever you're practicing, do it in a situation in your head.
A purpose.
Do it with a purpose, man.
Because I can remember of all the times I watched a coach throw batting practice that you played for, every one of those coaches most of the time was trying to throw strikes so that the kids would hit it and that everybody would feel good.
Well, and so the players had something to
And so
do.
the players,
So this is so
they're-
funny.
Players are all standing out there
Yes.
waiting for something to happen. He's trying to throw a strike, so you'll hit it so they can field it.
I tell parents this all the time. There's going to be, and George probably seen it too in lessons where kids struggle. And I said, it's okay, man. I'm not trying to have feel good hitting sessions all the time, man. Because guess what? Are you going to have a feel good game? Every now and then you're going to go 3 for 3, but there's going to be some times you're going to go hitless.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's life.
But
it's
it's
the
productive.
strategy.
You still can be
Yes,
productive
you can
without
still
getting
be
a hit.
productive. So I think parents, if you're listening, please be easy on your kid and you challenge them,
Right.
okay? But also you make sure you pick them up too, man.
Give them that support.
Yes,
Positive
give them
support.
yes.
Yeah.
Let them have fun.
Yeah.
Thank you.
There you go.
So to bring all this kind of back around, we talked about having a combination of mental toughness, plate discipline, and aggressive energy. We've talked about making sure that we practice more than we play, meaning specifically individual work.
Yes.
Yes.
You're putting in that individual work. You're doing what it takes. You're spending the time with the tool to get it in the box so that you can use it when it's necessary. So that if you're called upon to pinch hit, you're called upon to sack bunt, you're called upon to hit and run. That is not a foreign thing to you. That is not something that you're like, well, I hope I can pull this off. No, it's something you've done so many times. You're like, sure, I'll go do that. No big deal. Boom, here we go. And that's the thing. You got to try and get that. And that's where those, when you hear somebody talk about 10,000 hours, that's what they're talking about. They're talking about
Outliers.
you have spent that kind of time with each one of those tools to get it in your box, so you can just go get it out of the box and go use it. And
Yes.
that's the whole thing
Like
there.
you said before, there's a low percentage of players that make it, but you want to be in that percentage, but you got to work at it. It's not
Gotta
it's
work.
not through
It ain't gonna
osmosis
happen. Yes.
or just thinking about it or dreaming about it. You got to actually go and do it.
Yeah, and also taking personal responsibility. We've talked a little bit about this, but this cannot be overstated when you're talking to young players. Young players, take personal responsibility for yourself. Be honest. It's easy to say, well, the coach didn't play me. Coach didn't do this, or the umpire, what he was talking
not
about.
the
Or these
umpire
people,
thing. Oh,
listen,
poor umpire.
listen, you're a kid and the umpire is a grown-up. And 9 times out of 10, that umpire is going to know better than you in just about any situation because he's older than you. Okay, so be honest with yourself and say, have I spent the time to have these tools in the box? If I haven't, then be honest with yourself and go do that work. Be humble enough to go, I need to work here, I need to work here, I need to work on this thing. And then if you need help with those, that's when you go find instruction and you say, look, I need some help figuring out what to do here, figuring out what to do here. But you are honest with yourself enough to know that you have to put the work in and you are the only one responsible for that. Nobody else. Your mom and dad aren't responsible for that. Your coach isn't responsible for that. You are. And so if you get out there in a game and you're in a situation, offensively, defensively, doesn't matter, and you're sitting there praying to God that something good happens because you don't know if you can pull it off, that's when you got to go, I need to make a mental note and go spend some more time with this tool and get it in the box, because that's not something you've mastered yet.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Clutch is not this mystical concept that you were either born with it or not. It's solidified through preparation,
Yes.
which translates to confidence, and confidence and clutch are very similar, if not the same thing.
And then we define that confidence, the process for confidence, comes from practice, experience, and failure. And to be able to say, okay, I put in all the practice I need. By doing that, I have become a player who gets the experience. All right, they're putting me on the field because I put that work in. Okay, and so it starts with the practice that earns you the experience, and then the experience will bring with it plenty of failure. It'll happen, and you fail forward, and you learn, and you figure it out as you go. And you consider that it's not failure as in you're done. It's a situation where you just bought some education. This is Ethan had a situation in business not long ago that was kind of a particularly costly situation for him. And he was like, man, that cost me a lot, of money to deal with that situation. Yeah. So it was an expensive education. You bought some education.
Yeah.
You'll know not to do that again.
Yeah.
And that's the kind of thing. So sometimes the currency that you use to buy your education is sweat and hard
equity.
work. Yeah.
Right.
Sometimes it's not
Yes,
money
sir.
out of your pocket,
That's
but
value.
Sweat equity.
when you take that and you practice in the experience and the failure, and you combine that together, that's what brings you the confidence. And these players that we mentioned at the beginning, who are clutch hitters, who were their standard, their regular, strong performers all the time. They're consistent, and that's what we've noticed more than anything. When you're talking about RBIs and get on base and moving people and doing these, the guys who show up at the top of the list, they are the most consistent people, because my guess is they have put in more of that practice time than the average bear, and they have made sure that they have those tools in the box and they can use them, and it's not any sort of surprise when they get put in a situation.
And you can be, to be successful, you can 30% of the time.
Yeah.
Do it 30% of the time. Let's say 3 out of 10. That's 300. That's the Hall of Fame numbers.
Yep.
But I look at guys, if you 2.7 as first or 27% is, you're doing well. You're not going to do it all the time.
Yeah.
But the main thing we said earlier, but apply it. Put all that energy and commitment, aggressiveness into it every time.
And never expect that the game is going to be that you're going to play to the very edge of your ability in a game. You always want to be able to no, the edge of my ability, that's where I'm pushing myself in practice, so that in a game I can play here. Ask yourself, what is the standard that's expected of me in the game? And then go beyond that in practice so that you can do that
What you
comfortably.
expect.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing. So anyway, those are some things that I hope have been helpul.
It's been very heavy.
This concludes our offensive objectives series. We've got we were going to put a wrap on this one, and we're going to start defensive things coming up. So we're going to talk about defensive things,
Running, diving.
next week. So hope you'll come back and join us. We hope to have another great discussion, and hope that you'll check out the podcast. If you're new to us, there's plenty of episodes. There's 19 episodes ahead of this one. You can find it on CompleteGamePodcast.com. You can also find it on MD&IAcademy.com, GeorgeFosterBaseball.com, or Glovehound.com. So you can also find it any place that you listen to podcasts, whether that's Amazon or Spotify or wherever you listen to. Yeah, YouTube. The video version's on YouTube. So check it out. Maybe recommend it to a friend. Leave us a review if you get a chance. We'd love to have you be a regular part of what we're doing. So, but for the guys here, I want to just say thanks so much for joining us again, and we'll see you next week on the Complete Game Podcast. We hope you've enjoyed the Complete Game Podcast, the show that's all about baseball. New episodes drop each week, so be sure to subscribe so you don't miss a thing. If you'd like to support the podcast, consider leaving us a 5-star rating, or better yet, drop us a comment or a question and let us know what you think. The Complete Game Podcast is produced and distributed by 2 Creative Digital Marketing. Check us out at 2creativedigital.com. On behalf of Ethan, Coach Rick, and the Silver Slugger George Foster, I'm Greg Dungan saying have a great week, and we'll see you real soon.